We've all been there. You know, you're staring at that blinking cursor and you're just wrestling with this soup of keywords.
Oh, yeah.
Photorealistic, 8K, cinematic lighting, ultra detailed, volumetric fog. It just goes on and on.
The keyword soup approach.
Yeah.
And it is genuinely painful because you spend hours tweaking that perfect recipe.
Right.
Hoping the AI finally gets what you're seeing in your head.
Yeah.
And, the result is often just inconsistent.
Yeah.
Or random.
That agonizing cycle is exactly what we need to end. So, okay, let's unpack this. This deep dive is all about a really radical idea from the Nano Banana Pro guide.
Mm-hmm.
Stop writing complex prompts entirely. The mission is to stop acting like a technical engineer and start operating like a creative director.
Welcome back to the deep dive. And that shift is, it's not just about saving time. It's about using what these modern models can actually do. We're diving into the 5-input system. We'll show you why your old prompting habits are failing. We'll detail the 5 simple, non-technical inputs that replace all that jargon, and show you how this directorial mindset makes scaling visual campaigns incredibly fast.
And consistent, for the first time, really.
Yeah, for the first time.
All right, let's start by defining the central problem. It's what the source material calls the prompt engineering trap.
Right.
We assume that precision comes from micromanagement, from telling the AI every single technical detail, but that, ironically, just slows us down.
And often gives you worse results. It's because the models have gotten so much smarter. We're still prompting like it's, 2022.
Yeah.
Stacking keywords, adding camera specs, throwing in styles that used to be necessary. Those early models were literal. They were, frankly, kind of dumb.
You had to spell it out.
You had to.
Yeah.
But with the modern model like Nano Banana Pro, that huge keyword list isn't useful direction. It's just noise.
So if the technical details worked back then, is there still some value in adding them? Or is the model actively penalizing that noise now?
It's not so much a penalty as it is. It's overwhelming the core intent. Think of it like this. The AI is trained on natural language. It understands cinematic wide shot from millions of images.
Okay.
When you add photorealistic 8K, ultra detailed, you're just repeating a quality it already assumes. You're just diluting the actual direction.
The examples in the guide really highlight this. A founder wants car photos and writes, generate a car with photorealistic 8K studio lighting. The results are all over the place because the model is guessing at the composition.
But the founder who just states the intent, the context, gets far better images. Something like a cinematic wide shot of a futuristic sports car speeding through a rainy Tokyo street at night.
Instantly cleaner.
Way cleaner, more composed, and just much more usable. Same tool, but a totally different mental load for the person using it.
And the hidden cost here isn't just the time you wasted writing the prompt. The deeper cost is this creative fatigue. Similar manual prompts give different results, and that kills your brand consistency. Suddenly, scaling becomes a huge pain because every new visual feels like starting over.
So the fix isn't finding some secret keyword. It's a total role change. You have to go from being a technician, the engineer, to being a creative director. Focus on why the image exists, who it's for, and what success looks like. Let the AI handle the technical stuff.
So if that inconsistency is really the biggest cost, what role does simply defining the image's purpose play in achieving those better results?
Defining the purpose gives the AI its first critical boundary. It ensures the composition matches the medium it's actually for. And that idea of boundaries brings us right to the game changer here, the 5-input system. We're basically replacing all that complex prompting with 5 simple fields.
Fields that mirror how, real creative direction happens in a meeting.
Exactly.
So let's start with input number 1, purpose. This is the foundation. It instantly changes everything about composition. If you tell the AI this is for an Instagram ad, it knows to go for a square 1:1 format.
Right. Or YouTube thumbnail. And it knows 16 by 9. If you don't define that purpose, the model just guesses. And guessing is rarely on brand.
And the composition itself shifts completely based on that purpose, even for the same object, like, say, a simple coffee mug. If the purpose is a homepage hero image, the AI will probably use soft atmospheric lighting, lots of negative space. But if it's for an e-commerce product page,
it's going to be bright, clean, perfectly centered, and totally literal. And the only thing you changed was this declared job of that image.
So input 2 is audience. The model needs to know who this is for, but we need to go beyond just demographics, right? It's about taste and mindset.
Totally. Defining the audience as working professionals interested in a high-end lifestyle gives you clean, muted colors, natural textures.
Okay.
But describing them as Gen Z creators who like bold, high-contrast visuals pushes the whole aesthetic. You get neon dynamic lighting. It stops the AI from just making an average visual.
Input 3, subject. This is the literal what. And clarity here is so much more important than technical detail. Contrast a weak description like cool mug
Yeah, that's useless.
with a strong one. Matte, black ceramic mug, 12-ounce capacity, minimalist, Scandinavian design. The goal is just to remove ambiguity about the object itself.
Right. So once we know the subject, input 4 defines the flavor.
Yeah.
How do we stop it from looking generic? That's brand guidelines, and this is where everyone overthinks it.
You absolutely do not need to be listing hex codes or camera settings. What you need is the feeling.
Yes.
Words like clean, warm, premium, playful, they carry way more weight than technical specs. The AI is trained on tone. Words like warm reliably trigger specific lighting and color palettes.
Exactly. The guide mentions a startup that got really stiff results when they listed their official fonts and colors, but when they just replaced that with clean, modern, slightly human, the results became cohesive.
The AI understands the tone better than the rule.
It does. And finally, input 5, reference images. This is your precision tool. Powerful, but optional. If you need to lock in a specific style, maybe from a competitor's ad or your last campaign, a single reference image can just replace paragraphs of explanation.
It's a shortcut.
An immediate stylistic shortcut.
So given that most people get stuck on that fourth input, on brand guidelines, and they default to those technical rules, how can we make sure we're defining it based on that feeling?
Focus on descriptive adjectives: warm, premium, natural. The AI interprets those visually much better than it does specific technical numbers.
Now, this is where the workflow has this subtle but really critical shift. You, the user, you give the AI your intent, those 5 inputs.
Right.
And then you task an external AI like ChatGPT or Claude with writing the actual prompt for Nano Banana Pro.
You're delegating the syntax, you explain the job, and the AI handles the execution. All those little details you don't need to craft by hand anymore. This base prompt engine has a really structured process. First, it ingests your 5 inputs. If one is vague, it's told to pause and ask for clarity. No guessing. Second, it can reference official guidance. You can feed these LLMs knowledge files like the official best practices guide for Nano Banana Pro to make sure the prompt it generates is aligned with what the model is good at.
It's like an automated compliance check.
Yeah.
And third, and this is a huge efficiency leap, it generates 3 prompt variations automatically. Version A is literal and safe, perfect for product pages.
Okay.
Version B is creative and mood-driven, great for social media. And version C is premium and editorial for those high-impact ads. You get a whole campaign's worth of options without rewriting a single line. Fourth, and this is so crucial for consistency, it outputs everything in JSON format. And JSON isn't just, structured text. It's a non-negotiable format that guarantees predictable input. It eliminates all the ambiguity you get with freeform text.
Whoa. I mean, just imagine scaling this system across your entire e-commerce catalog instantly. You could generate hundreds of consistent, clean product shots in one afternoon.
That structured output is where the power is. And the real efficiency win is that this whole system, you set it up once and then you reuse it forever. The recommended way is using the project method in ChatGPT or Claude. You create this dedicated permanent project that remembers the base prompt, the rules, all your context.
So you just paste the structure in, upload your knowledge files, and save it. Your per-use time drops to, 30 seconds? You open the project, type your 5 inputs, and boom, 3 perfect JSON prompts, no re-explaining anything.
Besides that immediate speed boost, what's the critical long-term benefit of setting up a dedicated project like that?
It creates institutional memory for your visual style. Every session starts ready and consistent, no manual re-explanation needed. So let's look at that speed in practice with that luxury ceramic mug example. You're running a campaign for both ads and e-commerce. You give the 5 inputs just once.
Okay, so purpose is e-commerce and ads.
Yeah.
Audience is working professionals, minimalist taste. Subject is the matte black 12-ounce mug. Brand is warm, natural light, premium feel.
Right. And maybe you add 1 reference image for the table texture you like. Within seconds, the AI gives you those 3 tailored, technically optimized JSON prompts.
So you just copy and paste. Version A goes into Nano Banana Pro for the literal product shot, version B for the creative lifestyle shot, and C for the big hero ad.
And all 3 sets of images look related. They feel like they're from the same family because they share the same base inputs,
Yeah.
but they serve totally different marketing jobs.
Doing this manually, that used to take me, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes of just constant tweaking and regenerating.
With this system, the entire flow, from your inputs to having campaign visuals ready to go, consistently finishes in under 3 minutes.
That speed brings us to a really crucial pro tip, one that separates the masters from the novices. When an image is 90% perfect, you do not regenerate. Nano Banana Pro's edit feature is the key to preserving what's already good.
That ability to make those surgical changes while keeping the scene's integrity, it's a massive and I think often overlooked advantage.
And I'll admit, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself. You regenerate to fix one tiny color issue and you lose the perfect composition you had. That's why I rely on that edit feature. It locks down what's working.
Right. So if the background feels a little too cool or the mug is slightly off-center, you don't touch the initial prompt. You use small, direct instructions in the edit function. Make the background warmer, move the mug slightly left, the core composition stays.
So we need to be really clear on this distinction.
Yeah.
When do we edit versus when do we regenerate?
You use edit for small surgical changes, adjusting color warmth, contrast, position, maybe adding minor props. You only regenerate when the core idea is fundamentally wrong.
Like the whole angle is off or the style doesn't match the brand at all.
Exactly. Always try editing first.
How quickly does a user usually feel that frustration, if they try to fix a tiny color problem by regenerating the whole image instead of just editing?
Oh, instant frustration. Because fixing one small detail almost always makes the composition or that critical lighting just completely change. It's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
So the cumulative benefit of thinking this way, of using the system, it's quietly revolutionary. It shifts creative production from this artisanal manual process to a scalable, systematic one.
Right, because of 3 main advantages. First is scalability. You can genuinely produce 100 images in an afternoon, not in days.
Second is consistency. The rules, those 5 inputs, they live in the system, which means the AI is more consistent than a tired human tweaking prompts late at night.
It's a guardrail. And third, it allows for real delegation. Anyone on your team who understands the project's goals can generate on-brand assets just by answering those 5 questions. You stop being the creative bottleneck.
But of course, there are common mistakes. Mistake number 1, over-specifying.
Yes.
Don't dump technical jargon 85mm lens f2.8 into the inputs. Stay at the intent level. Premium, clean, product photography look. The AI translates that intent way better than it follows a specific spec list.
Mistake 2 is failing to use that recommended project setup.
Yeah.
If you're manually pasting in the long base prompt instructions every time you start a session, you are missing the entire point of the consistency win.
You're just creating work for yourself.
Set up the project once. Mistake 3 is ignoring the 3 prompt variations. Version A, B, and C are free value. Use literal for e-commerce, creative for social, and premium for your ads. They're designed for different jobs.
And mistake 4, forcing it. If you spend 20 minutes trying to explain a visual idea with just text, just stop. Use input 5. Find one good reference image. It will align the AI in a way that words sometimes just can't.
And finally, mistake 5, not saving your best inputs. If you can't reproduce a successful style next week, you haven't really systematized anything. You need a simple template library. Log successful 5 input combinations, like a tech tutorial vibe. Audience is Gen Z gamers, brand is neon, high contrast, cyberpunk feel. Saving that combo means you get instant, repeatable success.
So if a user is constantly hitting creative burnout, just working these long hours, which of those 5 advantages are they going to feel most immediately in their day-to-day?
Speed, without a doubt. The ability to test more ideas and ship faster just cuts down hours of busy work. It immediately reduces that burnout and it increases your actual creative output.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? We are, I think, fundamentally transitioning the creative process from this technical bottleneck of manual prompting to strategic directing.
Yeah.
You define what needs to be done and why it matters. The AI handles the how.
This whole system guarantees consistent, scalable results because you're communicating intent, those 5 inputs, in a structured way.
Yeah.
And you're delegating the technical optimization to a really powerful engine. The ultimate win is just knowing what you want and why it matters.
You stop being a technician, tweaking words, guessing parameters, fixing all these little inconsistencies. You become a director deciding outcomes. Campaigns move faster, visual experimentation becomes cheap, and your time is spent on strategy, not on syntax.
Right.
So we'd encourage you to go back through your own creative process and just identify where you are still acting like an engineer instead of a director. That's where you're going to find the most immediate time savings and probably the biggest creative leaps.